So welcome to the program, Layne Beachley.
Thank you, Annie.
It's wonderful to have you here, and I'm really excited about the conversation that we're going to share today. Let's start back in 2003. You won the 6th-time consecutive world title in surfing. What was that experience like?
It was pretty extraordinary. I set the goal to become the best of the best in surfing actually when I was 8. I mean, if we go back way back in time, as an 8-year-old, my dad told me I was adopted, and that was a real catalyst moment for me. It's like, okay, I need to prove to the world that I'm worthy of love, and to achieve that, I have to become the best of the best, not just a one-time world champion, like as many as I can possibly come. And when I joined the tour and started winning world titles back in 1998, I looked at the history books and it said, right, the best man was a 5-time world champion and the best woman was a 4-time world champion. I went, all right, well, I need to win 6. So winning that 6th world title was a culmination of a lot of blood, sweat and tears, a lot of pain, a lot of struggle, a lot of suffering. So achieving it was an enormous sense of satisfaction and relief. And then I dropped in a heap. You know, I fell into a heap of exhaustion and adrenal fatigue and overwhelm. And it was like for the first 5 world titles, I was just on this treadmill, right? It was just rolling over and over and over. So when I won my 6th one, it was almost like I could sit back and take a breath, and that's when my body fell apart.
It's often the way, isn't it? When the adrenaline's going, you keep going, you keep going, you keep going, and then suddenly you stop. And yes, that's when your body goes, oh, permission to actually say, I am done. I'm beyond done. I'm exhausted.
Permission to pause.
Oh my goodness. So what was that exhaustion like? How did that impact your body?
My body just was breaking down. And one of the things I love to say is the body whispers before it screams. And as a professional athlete, I often heard the whispering and saw it as a weakness. So I saw it as something I had to overcome versus something to listen to. And because of that nature and that competitive drive, my body was now starting to scream, and it was forcing me to listen, as opposed to just giving me little hints that, hey, maybe you need to, tone it back or get some more sleep or not train so hard or maybe drink a little bit more water and less alcohol and all of these things. Your body's constantly communicating to you, yet we never really stop to listen to what it's actually saying. And so what happened to me in 2004 was I had decided that, hey, I've won 6 in a row, well, let's go for 7. And obviously my body didn't want that. I had a really severe neck injury that occurred in 2001 that I still wasn't addressing, and I was just managing. I have rotated pelvis, I had a fractured coccyx, I'd fractured a rib, I had several knee injuries. So all of these things I was literally just managing as I went. And then in 2004, I suffered another really serious knee injury. And that essentially, my body once again was saying, hey, hello, anyone listening? But in between winning my 6th consecutive world title and going to compete for a 7th one, there were times when my body was really just going through the motions without the nurturing and support that it needed. So I was noticing the effects of adrenal fatigue. I was unable to maintain a sense of concentration. I started to nurture it with proper nutrition and hydration, and yet I wasn't nurturing it with rest, which is what it really needs. So I was utilizing the nutrition to actually fuel me to move more, as opposed to utilizing it to rest. And that's when my body once again decided to call it quits and went, hang on, I've had enough for this. Not bloody listening.
Exactly. And so that must be a common problem with athletes, though, because you also have to have that mental toughness and resolve to actually exclude all of those distractors, such as even pain and the need to look after yourself. You're so focused and you're so driven to say, I'm not going to allow those things to interrupt my ability to achieve the goal. And at the same time, it becomes your detriment because you actually do need to listen to your body to then be able to respond and to go on.
100%, and it's that reluctance to listen to your body that prevents you from enduring, or prevents you from overcoming them in a short period of time. It actually prolongs the pain and suffering. It's similar to feeling a fear and going, nah, I'm not afraid, and just suppressing it and pushing it down, but it still lies there within you and it bubbles up at another time. So it's a matter of recognizing it and stopping and taking the time and recognizing, you know what, right now I just need to break or have a break. And I didn't see it as being afforded to me. I robbed myself of that because, like you said, I saw it as something that I really needed just to keep pushing through. And in the end, well, when I reflect on that period, I realized that I had zero compassion for myself. And that really set the wheels in motion for me to become a lot more self-aware about how to manage my emotions, how to manage, one of the things that set me apart as an athlete was my mental aptitude, but I was using it through fear. I wasn't using it through love. And so that's what set the wheels in motion. It was literally my body breaking down and demanding that I love it, demanding that I honor it, demanding that I listen to it. And up until that point, I had continued to be headstrong to maintain physical strength.
It's an incredible testimony of learning to self-love is what you're telling me. So that moment of actually going, I need to do this for myself. I am valued. I am loved, as who I am, Layne Beachley, rather than that 8-year-old's voice in your head. I'm doing this to be the best, to show that I am lovable.
100%. Yes, correct.
Incredible.
It's quite an awakening.
Yes. And so it took you 3 years then to actually come back and win that 7th title.
Yes. So 2004, I tore my medial ligament and my meniscus, and that was halfway through the season. So that put me out for quite some time. And then in 2005, once again, I came back thinking I could still compete to win my 7th world title. And that's when my neck injury flared up. So the neck injury was a result of surfing in Tahiti many years ago, and I had a wave land on the back of my neck, and it hit me so hard that my left arm went numb, and it stayed numb for 5 years, and I just ignored the symptoms and just continued to persevere. And it got to a point actually where I was surfing with a foam pad in my wetsuit and on my chest to help me hold my head up because I'd lost all sense of fear.
Oh my goodness.
I was just, it was insane.
Wow.
Anyway, I was doing a photo shoot. I put my board down. I felt something snap between my shoulder blades. I was rushed off to get an MRI, and that indicated that I'd actually, the disc herniation was so severe that it was severing 80% of my spinal cord. And so I was given 2 pieces of advice, or 2 basic different pieces of advice. One was to retire, and the other one was to get surgery. Neither of them really appealed to me.
No.
So I went and sought counsel from a third practitioner. And he said, actually, you're young enough and fit enough and strong enough to allow yourself to heal, but you need to allow yourself to heal. You need to give yourself the time. And I said, how long is it going to take? And he said, as long as it takes.
Wow.
So I had to surrender. And one thing I love to talk about in regards to surfing is that surfing is a great sport for control freaks. And I am. I'm a
Type A.
Yeah. Self-confessed recovering control freak. Surfing teaches me to surrender. Surfing teaches me to let go and go with the flow and trust in the universe, adapt to changing conditions, change direction very quickly. Yet I was still pushing and pulling and striving and struggling, and eventually my body went, all right, you need to surrender. So I surrendered, and then for 6 months I surrendered, and I was in all sorts of pain and suffering, but I just trusted in the universe. I trusted in the time, and I trusted in my body. I trusted in all of the different natural forms of therapy, so, through yoga, meditation, breathing techniques, magnetic therapy, sonic therapy, you name it, I did it. And acupuncture, hyperbaric chambers, oxygen therapy, inversion tables. Like I just
fire me up.
Yeah. Just let me have a go at anything and everything. And I changed my diet. I eliminated every single food out of my diet that would cause any sense of inflammation. And also I wanted to keep myself healthy and in shape. because I wasn't able to exercise. Sleep was a real challenge, and I had to find a way to negotiate that. And not being able to surf for 6 months was probably one of the biggest hurdles I had to overcome. So I surrendered to that very quickly, because I still had the love affair with it, and I still had the ability to sit on the water's edge and
watch the waves.
Yeah, just another day in the life of a pro surfer.
Oh my goodness. So what an incredible learning curve for yourself personally, to know your body, where you're at emotionally. So many things must have been going on in that time.
Yes.
So you then came back to win.
Yes.
What was that moment like, winning that 7th?
It was extremely rewarding. It was, you know what? When I reflect back to that moment, it felt effortless. It seems like a ridiculous thing to say, to become a 7 times world champion in a state of effortlessness, but it was because I was consistently in a state of love, which meant I was in a state of flow. World title number 1 and 7, I won with the exact same mindset. I was in a mindset of following a process. I was not outcome driven. I was focused on doing the best of my ability every single day to get the job done. The outcome would speak for itself, or it would come if I'd done the right amount of work at the right amount of time, and invested all the right things, all the right energy. World titles number 2 to 6 were won in a state of fear, where now I had to. It was a matter of, I must do this, because my sense of self-worth, my identity, everything is riding on this. And if I don't achieve it, then I'm never going to be deserving of love. After I won my 6th one, and then I had all those injuries, my 7th one, I remember now sitting in the water, instead of in a state of fear, just in a state of gratitude, just going, wow, what a beautiful day. My goodness, the water feels so good, and the sun feels so good on my skin, and I'm just so grateful that I can compete still, and I can surf, and I'm not in pain. Like, just the simple things, just anchoring myself and grounding myself in gratitude every day. And the mistakes that I made is, as I got closer and closer to the finals, every event, I would then start to think I had to be something other than that. I would revert back to the survival mode mechanism, and it was learning to trust in that consistently. And the second thing that I learned is, once I became aware of the fact that I would go into survival mode, I had to forgive myself for that and not hold myself hostage by it.
Yeah. Just because you've ventured back, once you've got that awareness and clarity, you can easily go and say, no, I see what's happening here, but I'm going to choose to be my new self, to be a better self.
Yes. And it took me a long time to trust it, and it took my competitors even longer.
I love that. So you're really showing how important it is to invest in you. You had to invest in yourself, and by investing in yourself and getting that clarity and awareness of who you actually are and what makes you tick, I think that's just such a wonderful example of showing what it's like to actually just being in the flow, to actually be operating as your best self, and then that's right, the results will happen. And so congratulations. After that journey, you then got awarded the Australian Order. So that must have been an amazing moment. And then following that, you must have been going through an incredible moment of what's next. And your mind from age 8 has been driven in this way, and to be so successful and to have so much personal growth and awareness in what your journey has been, struggling with that chronic fatigue and depression and adrenal exhaustion and that whole experience and awareness. You then have gone on to do all of these amazing things. And, anyone going to your website, they'll see that you're chair of Surfing Australia. You've got a Evolve workshops, you're a keynote speaker. You also are the founder of Aim for the Stars. You're there with Planet Arc. You've got all of these facets. So please just share with me a little bit about how did they all come about, and how did you shape the future post-professional surfing?
Whew, I have no idea, Annie. No, I'm kidding.
I think you do. I think you're quite intentional.
Yeah, to a degree. I'm very values driven, and it's my values that have helped guide me throughout my whole life. And our values evolve as we do as human beings. And when I look back on my childhood, my values were very, very different to what they were as a competitive athlete, and now what they are as a businesswoman, entrepreneur, and environmental campaigner. I've I trust in my instincts and my gut. I trust in the tribe of people I surround myself with, and I trust in time. And so when opportunities come to me, I first sit with them and get a feel for whether they're really aligned with my values. There's plenty of opportunities that come to me, as you can imagine. You know, when you become a world champion at something, especially doing it multiple times, everyone wants to know how you did it. And not very many people can actually articulate how they've won. It's just like, well, I did it. I don't know. I went surfing. How was it? So I've had to spend a bit of time breaking that down, working with coaches and working with other people just to help me break down what it is that I did and how I've done it. When it comes to external opportunities like being an ambassador or a spokesperson or even a role model, I first ask myself, what kind of person do I want to be? Like, how do I want to show up? One of the mistakes that I made when I retired from the tour in 2009 is that I kept saying yes to everything and everyone, thinking that next thing was going to give me my sense of identity and structure and purpose in life. And I kept looking externally for my purpose as opposed to realizing internally I need to find it within. And I was already doing it. I was already sharing my stories. I was already inspiring people just through my actions. I was already nurturing and developing future talent just by talking to them in the water. You know, I feel like my greatest strength has just been my authenticity and my ability to stay true to who I am and what I love to do and how I love to do it. So when I was in that period of saying yes to everything and everyone, I was actually straying away from myself. I was straying away from who I am and what I wanted because I was waiting for external validation and reassurance to define that.
Yeah.
So I had to go and seek a mentor, and she gave me this decision-making framework that helped me realize that if I'm saying yes to everyone and everything, then I'm saying no to me. Yes. And so sooner or later I have to start saying no. And for women, you know, we have a real big fear around saying no to people because of all sorts of different ideals. And I feel that the three biggest barriers for us for saying no is that we hate letting people down. We tend to have a scarcity mentality and we put unrealistic expectations on ourselves. So understanding that helped me then go, okay, take a deep breath and ask myself, is this something that really appeals to me? Is it aligned with my values? Is it something that I truly believe in? Then go after it. And if it's not, then just don't, and be okay with that.
Yeah. And once you've learned that incredible truth, which sounds really simple, but it is just so hard. I know in my mentoring and coaching business, this is one of the biggest key issues that women particularly find very challenging. That's right. That you're always looking, you know, the amount of people who say, how do I know what my purpose is? What you're actually sharing is, and that was a revelation for me, you're actually usually living and being it. It's what you love. It's what makes you smile. It's what makes you breathe. It makes you want to be motivated to go and share with others. And that's exactly what I'm hearing with you. You didn't have to go too far. Often people sort of try and sell you something. You don't have to be sold your purpose. You know, it actually is in you. It just has to be found, clarified, simplified, focused on, and then have an avenue to be able to come out. And I think you've just done that so beautifully.
Annie, the point that you made there is the simplification of it. I feel that we overcomplicate success. We overcomplicate self-awareness and emotional intelligence. Like, we just keep overcomplicating things, and the more simplistic we can make it, the more we can embrace it and then own it and then live it. And I feel that that's what I've prided myself on, is like constantly simplifying things and remaining true to myself. And so much so that it actually has annoyed the hell out of people who have tried to manage me over the years, because, you know, if I've been asked to endorse brands that I don't truly align with, I've probably walked away from, I don't know, close to $2 million in endorsement deals over the last 15 years because there's brands that I just don't feel aligned with. And they're not a value alignment, so therefore it's an easy no. So, you know, staying true to yourself can be really challenging and can be quite hard, and you can feel quite compromised. But as you say, if you just keep it simple and stay anchored in that truth, then it gives you an enormous amount of power.
Yeah. Exactly. And I find that every day, that the more clarity and simplicity I have to certain tasks actually makes the decision making so much easier. It's actually a lot more relaxing. It's you know, you can kind of go, yep, it doesn't actually fit, you know, my purpose or where I'm at. So therefore, you know, if it adds no value to me, or if I add no value to, you know, who I'm sharing with, it's actually, it makes the decision making easy and it's less exhausting, which
exactly.
If I'm stressed, I'm like, I'm not too sure, it's all exhausting. You go, it's probably not right. You know, it's actually that easy, isn't it?
It is.
Crazy. So tell me about Aim for the Stars. I think anyone who's started their own foundation, it's got to have this core passion behind it. Tell me about that.
So Aim for the Stars was born out of reflection. I won my 5th consecutive world title, and a friend of mine who used to work for Macquarie Bank suggested I start my own foundation. And I looked at him and went, why on earth would I do that? And he said, because no other female athlete has. I went, well, that's a good enough reason. Okay, I'll go after that. I love being a pioneer and a trailblazer. I love making it okay for people to do things differently. You know, I love stepping outside of my own comfort zone to encourage others to do that too. And by creating my own foundation, I was also able to create what it stood for, who it helped, and what difference it could possibly make. So I thought about how doing the world tour was such a challenge, and after being on tour for 5 years, I was ready to quit, and I was ready to walk away and get a real job. And I decided to go to work. Well, I was working actually at the Old Manly Boat Shed, one of the most salubrious establishments in Manly. And I went to work one night, and my shift started at 6 p.m. and finished at 3 a.m. And at the end of my shift, one of my employers sat down with me. He said, "How things are going?" And I said, "Oh, I think I'm ready to give it all away. And you know, I'm interested in pursuing a career in, you know, tourism, or, you know, I don't know, I'll find something. You know, I'm a great waitress. You still employ me." And he said, "You know what? I see how hard you're working, and I know how much you want this, and I believe in you. So here's your $3,000 round the world air ticket for your next trip, and I want to see you go and pursue it and not give up on it." And that was another catalyst moment for me. I went, wow, you see me, you hear me, you believe in me. Like, I'd stopped even believing in myself. So when I fast forwarded to 5 world titles, I thought, what can I do that'll prevent girls from quitting? What can I do to encourage women to dare to dream and pursue a passion and aspire to achieve? That's what Aim for the Stars stood for. And so I granted $3,000 scholarships to young girls and women to achieve their dreams in all walks of life, not just sport, but music, science, business, culture, arts, academia, environment, law, you name it. So after 15 years, I decided to wind it up because it hit that natural point where it was like, either let's just push through and go to a whole nother level, or let's just be satisfied with what we've achieved. So 15 years, $1 million in scholarships and 500 girls. I'm pretty satisfied with that.
I think you should be 100% satisfied. I think that's an amazing legacy that you've left to those girls, and also to the whole country, to the world of young women who go, people who have trailblazed before know how hard it is. You know, it must be so difficult when you are, you know, the top of your game, but you're still working as a bartender to try and get enough money to actually be able to support before you get all of those lucrative deals. And it actually is incredibly sad, actually, if many people who are at the top of their game don't have those opportunities purely because of finances. And so I think it is wonderful. And what a wonderful man who actually gave you that $3,000. I think it represents belief, doesn't it? Yeah. And, you know, belief's the biggest thing, to actually tell someone that I believe in you, you are valuable, you are valued, you should go and achieve your dream. I think that's an absolutely wonderful thing. So, well done for you for doing that.
Thank you. Yeah, quite often in my career, I've had people in my life that have believed in me more than I believed in myself. And those catalyst moments, those conversations, those relationships have elevated me and taken me out of these dark moments where I was starting to doubt and question and criticize, and kind of flipped me around and pushed me back out into the world. And those moments are really valuable. Those people are really valuable. And I've maintained a strong connection with them my whole life.
And I think that's a wonderful opportunity that you get now as a motivational speaker, because you actually get to share that motivation, that belief in others, share your journey in a very real and authentic way. It's not easy. It
No,
hasn't been easy.
no.
And a lot of people look at stars, if you like, and go, oh my gosh, well, it would have been good to be that talented and win 6 or 7 world champions. They're probably a natural athlete. They're probably this. And the reality is blood, sweat and tears, right? It is injuries. It is self-doubt. It is really hard. There's lots of great times, I imagine, and traveling the world and being in different communities of people who are all high achievers. But it's in anyone's success journey is never just straight up, right? And I think the more authenticity that we have in sharing our stories, talking about if you want it, go get it. You should aspire for greatness. Everybody can achieve incredible things in this world, but it'll also require, practical guidance, mentoring, belief, structure, and I think that's wonderful. So that's obviously where you've head more now into your Evolve workshops. Tell me about those. What do you do with, is it men and women? Is it just young girls? What is that?
Everybody.
Everybody can evolve.
Yeah, we can all evolve, like you say. And it's, when I think about, there's so many statements that we say as presenters and motivational speakers and facilitators about, you can be anything you want to be and you can achieve anything in life. And to a degree it's true, but there's so many things that get in our way. And there's so many stories that we tell ourselves that prevent us from evolving and transforming ourselves into the people that we truly want to be. And so Evolve is all around uncovering some of those stories, flipping the negative stories into positive stories, recognizing that from all obstacles comes opportunity, because we tend to have a negativity bias where we focus on all the things that are possibly going wrong, and everything that in the future will therefore replicate that mentality. And so, I always like to say, if you want to know what you believe, have a look at your life, because your life doesn't lie. It clearly demonstrates what you believe about yourself. So if you believe that you're never going to have the money to travel, then you will continuously manifest that reality. If you believe that you're not smart enough, then you will continuously be told that you're dumb. And even if people around you tell you that you are smart enough, you are good enough, this deep down negative belief will tell you the opposite anyway. So Evolve's all about helping people become the best version of themselves by uncovering some of the deeper stuff that prevents them from fulfilling that or achieving that. And I'm about to roll out an online course, a whole new academy called the Awake Academy. And the first course I'm rolling out is called Own Your Truth, and it's helping people get really clear on who they are, how they feel, and what they want to do. Very similar to what you're doing, but maybe not as so transformational as yours right now. But, you're inspiring me to want to help people do what they want to do.
Yeah.
And the life they want to live.
I think it's absolutely fantastic. And as a woman in that space, I'm supportive of absolutely everybody who can be having opportunities to share and help and grow people, to give them the environment that they can actually just, have that awakening to be who they are and become their best self. I think the more the better. And
absolutely.
so I'm so thrilled by what you do, and that real respect for it, for what we're all trying to achieve there. So what's your message now to young girls wanting to be successful? What does success actually mean to you? After a woman who has had a whole variety of elements of incredible success, what does success look like?
Success actually, for me, comes down to how you want to feel. A lot of us put success into the future, and we create parameters around it. We create limitations around it and put boundaries and barriers, and this is how it looks, and this is what it does, and this is who I'm going to be. And actually, success starts with you right here, right now. How do you want to feel right now? And how do you want to feel in 5 or 10 years' time? And are those feelings connected, or are they completely different? Because if they're completely different, then what's going to have to change? Because if anything in your life needs to change, you need to change. And so if you don't feel very good about who you are and where you're at, then something needs to shift. And so it's actually anchoring ourselves in success. For me, starts in this moment, and defining or identifying with how I feel and what it is what impact I want to have on the world. So when I ask kids, when we're school teachers or parents these days ask their kids, what do you want to be when you grow up?
Yeah.
I would like the question to be reframed or reframed, reframed and reframed. And I want the question to now say, how do you want to contribute? And how would that make you feel?
Yeah.
Because I feel that to be successful, you have to be really clear about how you want to feel, because how you feel then determines the actions that you take, and the actions that you take then determines the output of the results, and the results that you create then determines, once again, how you feel about yourself.
Beautifully said, 100%. Because that's exactly it. If you don't, I've been asked that many times as well, and it's not actually the title. There's many people who can go, if you think that position or that title is the dream of what success is, you can spend many, many years doing that and achieving it, and then go, oh, I just didn't love it. I didn't feel it, and you can do other things, the feeling that when you, particularly in my business and your business, that buzz when people have had those aha moments, or they actually realize the incredible value in helping others, or supporting others and giving back, or just that feeling when you're in the flow and you're actually go, oh my gosh, can't believe I even get paid for this, right? Actually just loving what I do is just the best day ever. That is success, because you're actually tapping into the feeling. And then once you've had that feeling, you want to do more and more things to, achieve, that feeling, or to be in that space, as opposed to, the actual position or the achievements. Because otherwise, what do we do once we actually reach, the peak of our careers? What's next? How is that sustainable? And there's so many ways that you can achieve that feeling of success forever, So.
Yeah, it's interesting, I think about, first I reflect on my career and I go, well, people may see the trophies and the accolades as what I was striving for, but what I was literally striving for is to feel loved, to feel deserving of love. And I'd placed so many limitations on what that looked and felt like that I didn't, when I got to 6 world titles, I didn't feel any more loved.
It didn't work.
I was like, oh, this is it? Oh, okay. All right. And then
the world loved you, but
the world loved me, but that meant nothing unless I loved myself. And I didn't love the person I had become, because I was so fiercely driven. I lacked compassion. I lacked empathy. The world put me on a pedestal, but I didn't love myself very much at all. And so recognizing that now, I realize that every action that we take every day is actually determined by how we want to feel. How long we sleep, the foods we eat, the clothes we wear, the houses we live in, the actions that we take, the exercise that we do, the people we hang out with. Every action that we take is literally based in a feeling. Yeah. And we want to feel a certain way, so we do something, or we think something, or we act something. So, recognizing that if we can just stop for a moment, we've actually been educated to avoid feelings.
Yeah.
Really, our whole
Shut
lives.
them out. Shut them out. Those naughty feelings. Yeah.
Not to actually connect with our feelings, because they'll sabotage you. But if we can actually start to become aware of our feelings, and that's what my new online workshop's all about, is recognizing them and then having the ability to express them and own them, and then change them if they're no longer serving you. Because I recognized when I reflect on my career, majority of the time, I was in self-sabotage mode, not self-support mode, self-sabotage mode. And yet I was still able to succeed despite that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's because you're 100% driven.
Focused.
Focus. What a focused woman. Focus has not been your problem.
Discipline, not my problem. Focus, not my problem. Compassion and kindness, big challenge for me.
Oh, well, I think you've certainly nailed it now. You've been an absolute delight to interview. Thank you so much for being on this podcast. I think our listeners are just going to so enjoy hearing you share today. Thank you for your just honest, authentic sharing, and congratulations. I think you should be very proud of the woman that you are and have become.
I am. Thank you very much, Annie, and thank you for doing everything that you do to inspire and elevate and empower women to be the best versions of themselves. We need more women in the world like you.
Thank you.